Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Fore Dads Podcast. This is episode 4, and thank you guys for joining us today or wherever you're listening. Also, if you haven't already, definitely check and subscribe and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube at Fore Dads Pod. But yeah, I have a lot of stuff to talk about this week, especially in the golfing world. Definitely, let's get started with. I know Charlie Woods. And Tiger at the Caddy. I know Julio was watching it or heard more about it, and it sounded insane, just for a kid his age to shoot a 68. That's insane.
To shoot a 68 to tie for fourth, like that's pretty insane. Like we always talk about, well, I've had conversations with people regarding, the game of golf. Like, how can you symbolize it? What do you need to focus on to really kind of hone your game? And
Mm-hmm.
there's no real straight answer. I mean, I think I discussed, in our last podcast about how I try and just play against the course, not against who I'm playing against. I
Mm-hmm.
try and keep things one shot at a time. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing to see this kid. And I think the way that he handles himself on the course, from the highlights that I saw on Barstool and Bleacher Report, as well as Zaire Golf, like, he's a true professional for 13 years old. I mean,
It's
the
nuts.
way he handles interviews, to his shot process. I mean, they even showed a clip of where he outdrove these other kids by 120 yards. Like, this parent literally was like, "Oh yeah, like, look at this kid, had a great drive, has about 175 into this par five or into this par four or whatever." And then there's another kid about 10 yards ahead of him, and then all of a sudden this parent just rotates, full rotation. Oh yeah, and there's Charlie and Tiger, and kid's just swinging like a wedge. He has like 46 yards in this hole, and yeah, I mean, his swing is explosive. Like, a
It's
lot of
so
people
pure.
are, yeah, a lot of people are making a lot of noise about Little John, right? John
Mm-hmm.
Daly's son,
Yep.
and
Yep.
now he's going to Arkansas, which Arkansas is a great golf team. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that kid's got some power, but I mean,
Oh man.
you got to
Yeah.
think Little John is about what, 6 maybe 6 foot, 200 and 230 pounds, maybe. The kid's lean. Here's
Yeah.
Charlie, 5'9", but he's thickened up. Like, kid is
He's
strong. I
5'9"
mean,
now. He's
I think
five
so.
nine.
He's something like that.
Dang.
Yeah, yeah. But the kid is strong.
I
I mean, if you
mean,
look at his pictures, he's he's pretty. He's pretty built.
just the only clip that I saw of him from I think it was the last weekend. Is that it? The last
Hmm.
weekend tournament that he played in was just warming up on the range, and Tiger's in the back, and he's has a towel, and he's cleaning off the clubs, being all professional, and you just watch Charlie, and anyone that's at the range, unless like you're a true like professional, you just go up there, you hit a ball, you grab the next one, look, see where you're going to aim, then look back at the ball, take a second, and then take your swing. Maybe think about what you're working on, and then swing. Charlie took like 30 seconds to take a shot. Like, looked at it, looked back, took his time, and was just so diligent in the whole process. And I was just like, dude, he gets like 12, and he's doing that.
Yeah,
Obviously, Tiger's there, teaching him, but like it's like that is so impressive because like he's potentially trying to play the course on the driving
the
range,
driving range. Yeah,
trying to practice shots that he's trying to do, and it's like so ahead of his time, and to see that he's actually out
that's
driving kids.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean, I don't know if he just got a good one on that
a
hole,
good.
but I mean, 120 yards difference from
That's
like
like kids
the
don't hit
top group.
more than 200 yards. Kids don't hit 200 yards. That's nuts.
Yeah, well,
It's
I mean,
insane.
think about it. Think about his surrounding, man. Like, the kid is growing up
Mm-hmm.
with Justin Thomas at his house every day. He's got
Yep.
he's got freaking Rory McIlroy coming over and talking with Tiger, going through things. He's got the whole entire tailor-made, like, department
Mm-hmm.
custom fitting.
He's
He's
got
got
everything you need.
everything that
Everything.
you need. I mean, in his backyard, he has his own
Hmm.
little 9-hole course to
Right?
replicate, plus his own practice course. Like,
Mm.
I mean, the thing that amazes me the most is that, one, this is Tiger's kid, and I think from our generation and the generations who all came before us, who got to see Tiger live in action, I mean,
Hmm.
dude, like, I'm more impressed with the professionalism and the maturity that he's able to conduct himself with, or conduct himself. Um, yeah, I guess conduct himself with, just being at these tournaments. I mean, you have so much pressure because your last name is Woods and what your
Right.
dad did, and here he is, just, dude, doesn't have.
You wouldn't even
He
be able
makes
to
it
tell. You wouldn't know.
he makes it seem like he doesn't have a care in the world, but he's out there just playing his game,
Hmm.
and to go back, just backtracking here, to go back to what you said about how when he was on the range, he was playing his own round, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Bubba Watson was known for that. Bubba Watson was known for, all right, I'm gonna hit every shot. Like, I know on one, it's a dog leg, right. How much of a cut do I really want to put? What's the yardage that I want to sit at? He would always do that, and I think that's something that's very common from a lot of golfers, in the way that they prep for their course that they're playing, and kind of
Hmm.
visualizing the holes, especially with all the studying and
Right.
visualizing that they do leading up to the tournament. Well, so yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like, I also think that it might have a little bit to do, like, of him not being so maybe overwhelmed with the pressure that's just going on. Is, Tiger Woods, I mean, you would assume, not knowing Tiger at all, but him being an extremely competitive guy, that he might be a little intimidating, right? Maybe a little tough on Charlie. But from one caddy's experience that I heard, like another dad that was, walking with his son, it might have been like a year or two ago, said Tiger was just like the nicest guy. Like, he didn't, wasn't, mad at Charlie or frustrated if there was a bad shot. He would always encourage him. And I mean, there's nothing like that where you have encouragement that, hey, if you make a bad shot, like, it's okay. Like, people make bad shots. You don't want, as hard as it is sometimes. I mean, we're brand new fathers, so we still don't truly know how that feels with a child playing a sport and seeing him fail and how we're going to react. But like, you truly want to lift them up as much as you can, because of course they're probably not going to be feeling good about themselves, and the last thing that they want is the person that they can go to for comfort is putting them down even more than how they're feeling. And I think that that might have a lot to do with it as well. Like, we probably would expect Tiger to be tough, but like, he's probably tough. But I remember seeing him, what was it, a year or two ago in that pro-am where he played with Charlie, and it was like John Daly and his son, and it was Justin Thomas and his dad. And like, I
yeah,
think the one where Charlie had an eagle, like
hmm,
a 1 foot eagle shot, and like, he was just so happy. You could just see the smile on both, and even, Charlie was smiling there, eating it up, having a great time, instead of just
yeah.
like business, boom, okay, let's move on to the next hole. It was like, holy crap,
Well,
son, that was amazing.
yeah, yeah, with the iconic fist pump and
Yeah,
everything. Yeah,
right.
but
Exactly.
I think, you know, I think I think from have you watched the Tiger Woods documentary
Hmm.
on
HBO.
HBO?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So Earl Woods made it very clear what Tiger was trying to prove, the weight that was held on his shoulders
Right.
with being one of the first black, golfers, and coming onto these country clubs and competing in these tournaments that
That he
was
wasn't
primary
allowed
that
to. Yeah.
well that was primarily dominated by white kids, right?
Right.
And Earl made it very clear, like, hey, you're not just playing for the name on your back. You're playing for, you know, the black community itself, and that that is a lot of pressure. I mean, I think one of the
Heck
most
yeah.
iconic I think one of the most iconic stories that I had ever heard was the first time that Tiger was playing the Masters, and understanding what the
Yeah.
Masters, understanding the backstory of the Masters name, right?
Hmm.
Earl and Tiger got there, I believe, a week early, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks early, and instead of them going directly to the club, Earl told Tiger, let's go take a walk. And they walked around the backside of Augusta National.
Hmm.
And Earl supposedly showed, Tiger the ghettos of of um, of Augusta. He said, "Look, this fence separates privilege to poverty. Look at what surrounds the golf course is a very strong black community."
Hmm.
And yeah, and then he goes to win it. I mean, he absolutely dominates his first time winning it.
Dominates.
And
Yeah.
so like that alone, I mean, there's a big generational difference between the way that Tiger was brought up compared to what the luxuries
Hmm.
is that Charlie has. But I also think too is that because Tiger has grinded, struggled and all the achievements he had throughout his career, he probably wasn't there a lot for Charlie's stuff. And
Hmm.
now that Charlie's taking interest in in the sport that he loves, he just wants the kid to have fun, right? I mean,
Right.
it's a completely different environment in which Charlie is raised in compared to the Winnebago
100%. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Earl and Tiger had to travel around everywhere to just to get Tiger to that next level, just so Tiger could go play
Right.
golf all day, and
Hmm. Right.
it's a completely different lifestyle, and I think it is, it's something to commend the way that
Heck yeah.
the way that Tiger symbolizes a game that he knows he revolutionized. He knows
100%.
that he is the man that literally took it to the next level. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I know who's on the PGA logo. Is that Jack?
Oh man, who is on the PGA logo? Is it
Hang on.
I'm trying to think here. Not Hogan, not Ben Hogan. Uh Not Palmer, is it? Not Arnold?
No, I don't think so. Palmer had the
Oh no, they at the
so
top.
there is there's no name. It's just
Just
it's a
somebody?
mystery. Yeah, it's just a golfer.
Okay.
But it does kind of look like Hogan, or I would even think Nicholas. I never knew that. Interesting.
Yeah.
But anyways, I wouldn't be surprised if once Tiger is like, "Hey, I'm done. I'm completely done."
Hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have him on there.
Why not? I mean,
Yeah,
like you can
why not?
easily fix it. It's an
Why
easy
not?
fix. I mean, like he's literally revolutionized. Like it was Nicholas, and then it was Tiger that revolutionized it. Like took it to the next steps.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I think that, but I mean, it's not like the situation with the NBA where it's Jerry West, or not Jerry West. It's
It is right, isn't it,
yeah,
Jerry West? I think it is.
yeah,
I think it is.
yeah, where it's Jerry West on there, and then obviously everyone was, I don't want to say boycotting, but protesting that Kobe should be on there, right? So, or
Right.
Jordan, right? It's not like that. It's not so political anymore now, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it would be cool to see, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Agreed.
man. I just again going back to what I was saying, it's it's pretty amazing, and I think that's one thing that even our fathers, being out on the baseball field with us, going to tournaments, driving us around, it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, those memories live a lifetime. Like, I mean,
Heck yeah.
70s, 80s, early 90s rock, dude. The reason why I love that music is because my dad would play that on the road everywhere we went all the time.
Right.
Hey, it's 3 a.m. We got to hit the road. All right, let's go. And I would just hear Journey. I'd hear Van
Oh,
Halen. I'd hear Black Sabbath. I'd hear freaking Iron Maiden. Everything that could be
right.
played. I mean, the Bee Gees, freaking Earth, Wind, and Fire. Everything that was there. I'm like, oh yeah, hey, this is cool. This is cool.
Yeah, dude. Bon
You know?
Jovi was my dad. My dad played Bon Jovi, and I remember doing
Hmm.
making those tournaments, and someone would bring a GameCube or like a PlayStation and put
Oh
it
yeah.
connected to the TV back in the day, and
Yep.
but yeah, I
Yep.
mean, like one other thing I'll mention is when it comes to like parenting, like one thing that everybody notices when they grow up is okay, how you were parented. Was it something that you would pass on to your kid, or is it something that you learn that I don't want my kid to experience it this way, and I'm going to do it a little bit different? And with Earl being in the Navy, right? he was more military based and more strict, and that might not have worked as well as what he thought would be better for his future kids. And heck, like I always take that with like a grain of salt. Like, hey, just if someone has like not that good of parents, at least in their mind, or someone that you've seen experience wise, well, they can still learn a lot too, just as much as a parent that's a good parent. Like just maybe not what to do instead of what to do. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tiger's much more nurturing than Earl ever was, because
Well,
Tiger is Tiger.
yeah, I mean, I think the one thing, obviously that Earl took away from the military is discipline, right? Being able
Yeah.
to be accountable, for your
Mm-hmm.
actions, understanding that everything that you do has a consequence, and your biggest enemy is yourself. If you're going to sit
Oh
there
yeah.
and get down on yourself, negative things are going to continue to happen. But if
Mm-hmm.
you have a short-term memory, you relax, you reset, things change. Now, again, there's tons of stories out there of how Earl would, literally make impossible shots for Tiger to have to hit, and he would have to figure out a way to hit them. He would put them in just unimaginable, um,
Lies and stuff like
scenarios.
that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
scenarios in a golf, or just practicing golf, and Tiger would have to figure it out. I mean, myself, even growing up, was like, my dad was the hardest coach I ever had. And some people, if I got into detail, would think that, hey, that's not okay. That's like, that's borderline child abuse, or that's
Right,
whatever.
right,
But
right.
dude, like, I'll tell you, like, it's the best thing that ever happened to me, because I think the adversity that I had to deal with, not only to overcome my own mental state, and kind of proving to myself that I could do things, as long as, and attempting to kind of please my dad with what we were working on.
Mm-hmm.
I think he just built like a whole nother type of gear for me, even as an adult. It's like, in my line of work, the one thing everyone tells me is like, dude, you have crazy persistence. You have another level of tenacity and hunger that you bring to the table, that motivates literally everyone else. And you're so detailed in the way that you do things. And it was because, yeah, my dad was a perfectionist. He hated to have to repeat himself.
Mm-hmm.
So in a coaching scenario, yeah, you're not going to get it the first time, but
Mm-hmm.
I really had to do my best to try to, because if he had to go down, or if he had to go back and repeat himself, you would see a little bit of frustration. Like, it's not hard, like,
Right.
I can do it. And I don't even play the sport. My dad played professional soccer and professional basketball, or, way before well, professional soccer, like right when he met my mom, and then kind of stopped as I got born. My mom kind of told him, like, hey, either you're gonna keep trying to figure this out, or either you're gonna keep playing this, or you're gonna start being at home and being present and doing things. And my dad said, all right, fine. But yeah, it's different. You know,
Yeah.
it's yeah. The difference between, yeah, what Tiger experienced to what Charlie is night and day, literally
Oh yeah. Yeah.
night and day.
100%,
So
man. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean, and I feel like it's a good time to pivot a little bit over to Bubba Watson and his little interview that he had with ESPN recently. I think it was last week now, uh, about how he would receive money from sponsors and tournament officials for appearances on the PGA Tour, which is against PGA Tour rules. Like you're not allowed to do that. And I I mean, I've never met Bubba Watson. I'd love to, but knowing that he's outspoken as a Christian guy, even hosts Bible studies with like Scotty Scheffler and other professional tour players on the road, that he wouldn't just be making this up just to make it up, just to start controversy. Like, what do you think about that? And do you think that if he was paid, that other people were also paid? Like a Justin Thomas or other, like even like a Tiger Woods now. You just want Tiger Woods at the tournament. You know how many more people will join? So why not just give him extra money? Even though Tiger at the same time be like, I don't need the money. I'm Tiger Woods.
That's a my mind is running right now. Like I could think one person in particular that I really feel is most definitely trying to get not trying, but who is potentially receiving money on the back end, much like what Bubba got, is Rory. I feel like
Mm,
Rory is the PGA's golden boy. Like
yeah.
now that, I mean, now the Tiger, no disrespect to Tiger, but now the Tiger is just like hurt. Everyone sees that his career is kind of falling. This is
Yeah.
what he's now ranked like 1,000 or something like that. Like,
Father time is here, you know?
yeah. It's. I mean, the dude's body is just shot, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like it's Rory right now. I feel like Rory, ever since Live has come about, he's been very vocal about
Extremely.
about everything, about how he thinks it's dumb. He thinks that it's a slap in the face to the PGA. People who are going are never appreciated or respected what the PGA does. It's like, dude, I'm sorry, but okay, even at your worst, when you were finishing 20th, 30th, or whatever, like you were still getting money just because of your name and what you've done, right? But for a lot of these other
Yep.
guys, I mean, especially like a guy like Phil, everyone says, I mean, Phil is the first guy to go, and Phil's always chased the bag. He's always been about the money.
Yeah.
He loves
Mhm.
the spotlight. He loves to be different, but I think he spoke the most truest thing, which is, the PGA is just not what it doesn't work in the player's favor, and they make all the money for it. So I definitely think they incentivize certain players like, you know, um, like Rory. Probably, I
Yep.
would have to say, I can't even think of anybody else, but Rory's just the first person that comes to my mind, um,
Right. Yeah, I can
in
see that.
regards to that. So yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, yeah, it's and I feel like, it's kind of crazy just to even hear that that is possible, because you would think that, the PGA Tour is so, well kept, it's they wouldn't do that, like, oh, they're such a prestigious, professional sport and tour, that like, oh, they don't need to do that. We have so much money already. But the amount of people that watch a tournament, at least within like the last 20, ever since Tiger's been around, right? Ever since Tiger's won his first few tournaments and turned some heads, ever since Tiger's been to a tournament, you get at least double or triple the amount of people at that tournament. As long as I hear that Tiger's gonna be there, it's kind of like back in the '90s. You would, have every time that the Yankees would play, or no, let's just say this: anytime back in, let's say 10 years, within the last 10 years, any team that LeBron plays on the road, those ticket sales go up and double
yeah.
or triple, and the price is triple because it's just LeBron's coming there, and it's
Well,
even if it's like a terrible team, like that's the only way they're going to make money is when LeBron comes through.
perfect example was right when the season was starting and it was the first home opener for the Warriors. Isis and I wanted to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to go, and literally, I saw tickets from like the Nuggets were going to be there 2 days later, and the tickets were like $25, $75 on game time, right? And
Mm.
that's a that's a little bit more than a week before the game. But then I was like, oh babe, the Lakers are in town. Like, I went and looked, not realizing like one, it was the ring ceremony, second, it was, first
Right.
game opener. Bro, the nosebleeds were like $1,000. The nosebleeds. And
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, what the heck? So then I looked a little closer. I'm like, okay, we still could, like, grandma could come watch the baby. Like, let's see.
Mm.
Right? The day of the game was still $400 for nosebleeds. Anything inside the bowl was like 1,500 bucks still. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And I, again, I live up here in the Bay Area, and so I get to go. I go to the Niners games, I go to the Giants games, I do go to Warriors games when I get the chance. I go to Sharks games. I mean, I'm sorry, but to charge those prices plus what they already charge for food in those in those
Yep.
in those arenas, dude,
Yep.
a a Bud Light is $20. You get yourself a
Oh
Blue
yeah.
Moon, it's 23.
Mm-hmm.
You get a mixed cocktail, it's $35. Like, and you're just talking, and then on top of that, it's like, at the Giants game, for an example, it's like $20 for
A
it's
tall
20
boy.
bucks. No, no, no. So the beers are same price. Everywhere you go, it's going to be the same. But
Mm.
for the what is it? Chicken strips, garlic fries, and a Coke, right? 22 bucks, 22.50, right? Then you have the classic crab sandwich, which everyone loves at the Giant Stadium. Okay,
Mm.
it's like 27. Then in the back you got like they have like a pulled pork or a tri-tip sandwich with their famous
Mm.
Giants barbecue sauce, right? My
Mm.
mouth is watering. But still, like even that, like even that
You're
is like
right. You're right.
18.50, and you're like, wait a minute, like
And then
hold on, but
parking,
it's
if you have to park, like it's
oh,
stupid,
bro,
man. It adds up.
don't even park. I mean, the city's already taken away all the parking. They're trying to really push like public transit, but public transit's disgusting in the city. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
if you're coming over from Oakland, it's like you got to take the BART underneath. There's been way too many times that I've jumped on the BART, when I was going to work into the office, and bro, you're seeing heroin spoons, you're seeing freaking neat like used tar needles, like you're seeing you're seeing people like passed out in their puke, like in there. It's embarrassing. And then you
Ugh.
get on the Caltran, right? Caltran is probably the best thing here. I mean, if you live on the
Mhm.
peninsula side, like all the way down to I think it runs at Sunnyvale or Mountain View, like if you live in those area, like down in that area, dude, Caltrain is the best. Like
Mhm.
it's $10 to get on for a round trip. You get up
Hmm.
there, you can drink on the train on the way up to the stadium. And what makes it easy is like you don't even have to worry about what stop to get off on, because the minute that the train says, "Oh, last stop," there's a Giant Stadium. It's just one block, and you're good. The only
Man.
downside of it is just that you got to make sure you're out of there, in time to make sure that you get to the bus, or I'm sorry, that you get to the train. So some people typically leave like in the seventh inning, but then they have
Mm.
the late night, right, where it picks you up at like I think the final one is like at 11. So
Dang.
yeah, but
Ugh.
yeah, dude.
But yeah, I mean that it's just crazy how that could easily influence. Obviously, that like you give. I mean, you would have to put a pretty penny on paying these players to go. Everything's comped. Obviously
Yeah,
you have sponsorship. You have someone like Bubba. A lot of his stuff's already paid for. He doesn't need the money.
yeah.
Like it. Like with Rory and the whole live thing, it's more like fu money. Like oh, I don't need to play that tournament. Yeah, I know because you're Rory McIlroy. Okay, like everybody
What do
else
you
might
think
have to.
what do you think of earlier this year when Tiger went to the Open and played St. Andrews for like the first time and did like his farewell across the bridge? Like I would definitely think Tiger, knowing that he wasn't even going to be able to really like
Mm-hmm.
compete to the fullest in that tournament, you know? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the PGA threw him a couple $1 million and was like, "Look, man, like, and then he goes and gives that just that tear
Tear
jerking,
jerking.
yeah, that tear jerking speech where he's like, yeah, I don't know how many more times I have to like, play in this is. So he's like, to have this moment to, you know, be recognized and do everything. It's like he's like it's incredible, and he's tearing up on the walking on 18. Like, oh, dude, the PJ definitely had to throw him something there. If they're doing
I
that for
mean, like
Bubba,
right?
like they
If
got to.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like for Bubba later in his career, I mean, exactly. Like, and just think about it, if Tiger, all he had to do was be like, PJ's like, hey, you thinking of going to the Open? I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I'm not really sure. Okay, well, let us know. And he just lets a few weeks pass, and PGA Tour probably hasn't heard anything. And then, hey, what do you think? He's like, nah, I don't know. I'm not sure. How about we throw in a couple mil? Yeah, okay. I'll see you there on
Yeah,
Saturday.
I'll
I'll
see
see
ya.
you.
I'll
All
see you
right.
there.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Like, I can only, and it would be crazy if more players came to light with it. Like if like from the live tour, obviously not. No one's going to say anything on the PGA tour, but people that have left, like if Dustin Johnson or I don't know who, but I mean, like if you think Bubba Watson got paid stuff under the table, then it has to be for at least a few of the guys, at least a few
Well,
of the guys
we'll
on the live
think
tour. And
we'll
they ain't
think
nothing to lose.
we'll think of like, okay, I mean, going into it now I can kind of think of a few more people. Like Brooks Koepka has expressed tons of times how he can't stand slow play and playing with like Bryson, right? DeChambeau. You just can't stand him,
Right,
right?
right, right.
I guarantee you, just to please the people when they did the matchup between them, right? Or the featured group with both of them there, they
Yep.
had to, because Brooks is like Brooks doesn't put up with the shit. He's literally like, dude, I don't fucking care. Like, I will walk ahead of this guy and
Right.
not give a shit. right? So
Hmm.
I'm sure they had to, dude. They totally had to play, or give some people some money like that, just to continue, just to up the ante, give them a little bit more. I mean, even like I can even think back in Ricky Fowler's early days when he was really competing. Like, hey Ricky, like we know that this tournament probably isn't like your best, but hey, come on through. Like, come through. We'll give you some extra money. Do your best, like whatever it may be. Guaranteed, probably.
Right.
Create so
I
side
mean, I
little
mean, yeah,
side thing. Little side
yeah.
thing.
Go for
I
it.
so since we were looking up earlier about who who was on the PGA logo, and it just says nobody. It's just it's a no name stick person, right? It's on
Right.
Google's number one asked question, anything regarding the PGA Tour is how much does the CEO of the PGA Tour make a year? So I'm looking at it. He makes $4.5 million a year. That is paid through endorsements and um, beverage and food sales throughout the tournaments.
He's paid from that, not even from
Yeah,
like
not
other stuff.
no, it's just
So
endorsements,
so
and
like
then yeah, it well, and
so like $20 beer.
I'm assuming the endorsements like include like the NBC, NBC's rights for
Right.
all that
Right.
stuff, right? But still,
But
like
yeah, that beer that
it's
you bought
funny,
is going
yeah,
towards a
yeah.
salary. Like,
It's
thanks,
it's
you're welcome,
funny that
commish.
it's funny that that's like the second thing that's listed. I'm just looking at it like I got like that's a hell of a way to get paid.
Uh,
Yeah. So how do you make your money?
my
Like equity? No, I make it off of the food and beverage at each tournament.
right. Imagine that it's like
It's
you're
like the
going to a
CEO of
tournament.
Costco and his hot dogs.
Oh my god! I mean, just think like you go to a tournament back to back weeks, and one tournament, it's like a beer's like $15, and you go to the next week and it's $18. You're like, what the heck, commish? Are you not making enough? Do we really need to pay $3 extra for a
Yeah,
beer? Like, what
yeah,
is going on here? I know it's going right down to your pocket because I mean, like, you go to like a Starbucks and they raise the price by like a nickel, and you're like,
yeah,
dude, why are you raising the price? I don't care if you're paying a couple extra $1,000 for, for the ingredients. You're Starbucks. Why do you need that extra money from us? Like, why? It
yeah.
doesn't make sense, but that's hilarious, man.
Coffee and candy are like the two things that I guess apparently, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank has said like candy, chips, coffee, bread, and like a few other things are like they have the highest markup of anything that we buy within
Really?
stores. Yeah, they were like he was saying that
Hmm.
the markup of a candy bar is almost like 200%.
Heck yeah, dude. There's no way it costs more than 30 cents to make that thing.
There's no way
There's
that it
no
costs more
way.
than there's no way that it costs more than a cent to make that per thing. And then on top of that, it's like what I think when we were kids, I remember candy bars were about $2, $1. Now to go get a Kit Kat or a Reese's Pieces for two Reese's Pieces at Walmart or even Rayleigh's is like six
Mhm.
bucks.
Dude, my mom, I know it's older. She's definitely older, but like mom back in the early 60s or mid 60s, late 60s,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
nickel for a candy bar.
yeah.
I know it's like a long time ago, but like a nickel to like $4 to $5, that it
Check
should
this out.
not go up that much. Like,
Check this out. So when my mom, when my grandpa took my mom and dad in the '60s or in the in the late '60s, early '70s to Disneyland,
mhm.
they
Ugh.
still have the ticket. The
Uh-huh.
cost of the ticket was like $15 each person. Dude, do you understand that
And wait,
the cost to go to Disneyland now for a family of four is over $6,000 now?
dude, it's stupid. But wait, you said back in the 70s or like when would you say in the 70s?
So,
15 bucks?
I think the ticket was from
70s?
like I think the ticket was from like 71. It was $15 per person.
Okay. Because I know my grandpa bought a house in 1960 and the monthly mortgage payment per month was $50.
Yeah.
And the house was 20K, but like you're paying $50. So I'm trying to think, okay, if it's 11 years later, okay, maybe that makes more sense. But if that was $15 back then, that might have been a crap load of money. I'm not saying it's as much as it is now, because now there's no comparison. Like the rack up has been stupid. And what I've heard from Disneyland is that they rack up the prices more now
Every
to
year.
not have as many people go, because they know people are still going to come. And like if they can like have
It's the
fewer
upper
people in
it's
the
the
park.
upper it's the upper echelon of people now that they're trying to kind of gentrify into the areas now. I mean, shit, bro. Like what, 2021? How many fights happen at Disneyland because parents were arguing or whatever? I mean, there was literally one where some family like got into a got into a full altercation in like in Toontown, like insane. It was raving all over the internet. I remember everyone was like putting in their 2 cents, like, and of course it was, well, I won't go there, but um, yeah, like everyone was putting in their 2 cents, like, oh, how can you act like that? Like, oh, it's a family place. It's like, look, man, some people really pull out every single dollar, every single dime they got just to give their kid that experience. And when you get other family members that are you graciously said, hey, we'll take care of your ticket, and they're still trying to press you for more cash. I totally get it, because I've seen it. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people who have gone, and it's just been, you walk in through Main Street and it's like the best, and all of a sudden you get that one uncle who's like, oh, hey, Julio, I want a churro, and you're like, okay, like, all right, and oh, this is crap, and you see him just toss half of it away, like, what? It's a waste. Like, I mean,
uh,
this is totally off subject, but like, I remember as a kid, like my mom and dad used to get my sister and I one, and then they would split it, and they knew my sister wasn't
Dude, they
going to
were
finish
five
all of it.
bucks. They were $5 back then. I can only imagine what they are now. They were delicious. That's my only memory of Disneyland is the
Yeah,
freaking
I don't know if
churros.
they were
They
I
were
don't know if they were
so good.
$5, but
Dude, four
yeah,
seventy five. Four
my
seventy
parents
five.
used to
I
split
remember
them.
that.
Yeah, my parents used to split them. I'd have my whole half, and then because my sister was still in the stroller, like she would just kind of like lick the cinnamon off and have a few bites. But then,
Right.
of course, the whole plan was, hey, well, she's not going to finish it, so you'll technically get the rest of it. I'm like
Right.
I'm eating a churro with no cinnamon on it. I'm just eating a piece of dough.
Oh.
But yeah, man, it's crazy. Like it's pretty wild to think about how, just the way that everything has kind of evolved, now, and here we are as adults and with a kid, and yeah, you want to give those same experiences, and you're like, fuck, like I'm
Right.
gonna have to
Do I
give
do,
so much.
do I take out their do I use half of their college fund to go
Nah.
to
Yeah.
Disneyland, or
Yeah.
do I like hold on to that and say, hey, we'll wait, because
Hmm.
again, a lot of high schools still go to Disneyland. A lot of
Yeah.
schools, they do stuff like that, and it's like, dude, if a school can pay for that,
Senior
sure,
trip. Senior
yeah,
trip.
right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
man, I mean, yeah, dude, it's really crazy just with how much money these sports are getting, and how much money they're getting with their TV deals, and how much they're still charging people.
Yeah.
When it's like you don't like you can like no matter what, not everyone's gonna be able to go to every game because there's so many people in the world, especially where all these sports are located and the teams are. But at least giving people opportunities, like if your parents are making less than like 40K, there's no way you're going to a game like of a high importance as in like a professional sport, because the unless it's like the worst of the worst teams, like tickets are so expensive nowadays.
I
And like
mean,
not only that, you have to pay for parking, and if you have a kid, they're going to want food. Like there's so much that goes into it where it's like, and also if you don't live by the area and you have to drive like me where I
yeah.
am located, I'm within 2 to 3 hours, and gas
Hmm.
is crazy priced right now. So you have so much that goes into it where it's not like back in the 80s where kids would just, parents give them $10 go to a game, and that's all that they would need, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Did
it's just
you
not possible.
did you hear the earnings reports on Axon Mobile this year, and how
Oh boy.
they were like, who was it? I forget. I think it's called The Hustle. They do like market reports and kind of technical
Hmm.
Yeah, they put out these blogs, and so they were talking about saying like how they want to say there's no. It was titled, "Is there gasoline or is there not gasoline?" Right?
Hmm.
Opening piece to the article was like, we are living within a coal monopoly. And literally,
Mm.
it says within 2020, where no one was really even driving, okay? No
Hmm.
one could go anywhere. 2020, ExxonMobil's earnings that year was like 12, $12 billion, which was
Okay.
almost 40% off of what they made or 40% growth off of what they made in 2019. Then in 2021, jumped up another 60%. They went to like they went to another 80 billion dollars. Then
Jeez.
then this year they are on
Oh boy.
track to do $120 billion in gas sales. And I'm thinking, dude, if you're an executive like at Exxon, like you are just cruising. You are doing
Oh,
so
right.
good. Like that is a crazy amount of money. And it's like, yeah, your average, what, for half a, or not even for a quarter of a tank of gas now is like 30 to $40 depending, or $50 depending on the type of car you drive. Like that's
I mean,
insane.
for me, I drive a Corolla right now. That like when I go anywhere besides using my Tesla, and it's like it's not as crazy, but it's $48. I have 10 gallons. And it's like 4.79 out here. It's obviously not as crazy as it is where you are,
I
but
mean,
it's
I'm
still
not I'm
like
not that it's not that bad over here. It's what I think it went down from 615 to I think right now it's 565 now.
But I mean,
And
like, think about it. Like, with everything that's been going on, like,
yeah,
that's becoming, people are getting more used to that. And it's like, no, no, no,
yeah,
don't get used to that. It should not be this high.
it
Don't get
shouldn't
used to
be.
that.
Yeah,
Don't get
yeah,
used to that. Don't let them reset the normal. That's not
yep,
normal.
yeah. And I mean,
But,
dude, I drive, Isis drives a Lexus F Sport and NX 300. I drive
mhm.
a Kia Optima that I've had for 7 years now, and it's just I don't owe anything on it, so I'm just keeping it around. But
Right.
bro,
Same with me. Yep. Hmm.
my car has a 16-gallon tank, and it cost me $105 to fill. And I'm
Whoa.
like, I don't even go
Was it like a
anywhere
quarter of
besides.
your day pay?
Yeah, something like. I mean, it's not much, but I mean, still, it's like the only place I ever go to fill up my tank is to go fucking play golf. Like when I go out to to
Right.
go
I don't
play
do much, right?
Yosemite, or where we went when I go out to Rancho Solano, or when I go out
Hmm.
to Chardonnay and Napa Valley. It's like, yeah, I mean, I gotta kind of go through the cuts, and drive through the beautiful hills of Napa Valley, but it's like, damn, that's so much. And then I gotta go play, and then I gotta go pay for golf. And if I go play,
Right.
Chardonnay, it's like $68 plus a cart, an
Hmm.
extra 15. I'm like, oh my God, just the day already itself. I'm like $300 deep already.
I know, right?
And my wife and my
Oh,
wife
man.
asked and my wife asked why do you always go play skins games? Why don't you just go play for fun anymore like we used to? I'm like, fuck, it's a fucking investment to get out here. Like I want something in return,
I want to make
you know?
some, I want a chance to make some money.
Exactly, exactly.
Ah,
Well, I think this is a good place to kind of cut the podcast here. I just want to give out a special shout out to my friend Zach Neal with Golf Dads. Please go follow him on Instagram and go order your Golf Dad apparel. They got hats, they got towels. They're going to be coming out with some sick new stuff. Here's a look at the logo. Remember it, recognize it, go get yourself some stuff. And thank you all for attending. Hope you all have a great rest of the week.